What's happening, YouTube? I'm back here with another video, and I thought that I'd change the scenery, get a nice change of environment. I'm here sat in my garden, enjoying the lovely sunshine, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to share a more of a of a personal self-discovery that that I've made recently. It was firstly brought to my attention by a friend of mine through a very colorful discussion, but nonetheless, it it incited me to actually think and delve deeper. And while I've been on this personal journey myself, I realized that I'm guilty of being being someone who is quite driven by their ego, and especially when it comes to having conversations or being in situations that don't go in my favor. I realized that the feeling that would stir inside me was actually derived more from my ego as a sense, or instead of a sense of wholehearted acceptance. So I thought that I'd just talk a little bit about that and just give you a bit of an insight as to what I've realized. So, over the course of, well, the majority of my life, but I'm going to focus a bit more on the events of last year, I realized that a lot of the, the situations I was found in often challenged me, and a lot of the time where I thought that I was overcoming a situation because of my own inner strength, it was actually coming from a space of me wanting to be better than, to prove that I was better than someone else, or to prove that I could show the other person up. And more often than not, whether I was successful or not, I found that after the fact, I actually didn't feel all that good. Um, Even with conversations I've had with people where I've either in some way in my own head displayed a sense of superiority, or God, this is making me cringe. Just displayed like a sense of strength or whatever. It came from a space of wanting to be better than, and I go back to that point because that is a very short-lived victory, in my personal opinion. Some of you who are watching might differ, but for me, one-upmanship is a very short-lived, form of instant gratification, right? And it's a very sensory feeling. It derives strictly from wanting to feed one's own sense and a sense of ego. So when I realized that this is how I've been operating for most of my life, I thought, well, I need to do something to change that. And lately, I have been digging very deep. I've been digging really, really deep, and just addressing the core issues surrounding my ego and what causes that to take the priority in my responses to whatever the situation may be I find is engaging me. Yeah, that was a lot. So what I realized is that I need to just be straight up and honest about it. The way that I've managed to deal with this is, it's going to sound a little cliche, but I think it's the most honest, and it's the most straightforward, and honestly the most effective way of controlling that that little voice inside your head. My first step to handling this and to to easing off the ego, as it were, was simply, well, accept that I do have an ego, because once I started to accept it, I realized that it's easier to manage. Accept that it's a part of me, and by not resisting it, I'm no longer, like living in this sense of in this space of denial. Denying that, oh no, God forbid that I could ever have a flaw, because that's impossible. It's it's absolutely ludicrous to think like that. All human beings, we all have our flaws, we all have our differences, and by understanding this, accepting this, and acknowledging that, yeah, I have an ego, it's okay, because the ego is not all completely bad, right? The ego helps us define a sense of understanding. It helps us put, a sense of materialistic value to things, because we do live in a material world after all. It helps us understand our self-worth, because we do subconsciously measure ourselves up to everything and everyone else, which brings me to my second point. I stopped caring about measuring up to expectations of society, expectations of other people of me. I stopped thinking about how I should be perceived and how I should behave, because what I realized was that I was molding myself to fit a narrative that wasn't truly mine. And that again, conflicted. It caused this inner conflict with my own being, and I started to have these like almost internal wars, like these mental wars within myself, which then were projected into my environment around me and onto the people around me. And once that damage is done, there's no taking it back. So that was a very important lesson for me to learn. And by stopping the thoughts, or lessening the thoughts of comparison, or by not comparing myself so much to others and to these standards that I just believed were the set standard, I started to feel more at peace within my mind. One other most important thing, probably the most important thing, is by showing gratitude, giving gratitude to the situation, because those situations, in hindsight, gave me the opportunity to grow. Before, I would always look at it as it was a situation that challenged me. How dare this person question me, or who are they to say this to me, or why would they say that, or why has this happened? I tended to focus more on what I had lost as opposed to what I actually have. And once I started to give gratitude, I realized that I have so much more than I've lost, and in reality there's nothing to lose, because unless it's presently happening and it's manifesting into my life, there is no loss. Conversations are just words. Yes, words have meaning, but unless there's some sort of action that follows up with it, then that is inconsequential, really. So my ego was just painting a false sense of reality, and often would cause me to get trapped inside my own head. And that's a very dangerous place to be, especially when you're facing real life situations and real life circumstances. It started to warp my sense of reality, and I've been working on it ever since. And I've been taking it, step by step, day by day, just continuously repeating these steps. And by repeating these steps, day by day, just accepting situations as they come, stop the comparison, stop comparing myself to other people, to other situations, giving gratitude for what I actually have, and fundamentally what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, well, am I being a victim of this situation, of this circumstance, or am I coming from a point where I'm seeking to empower myself? And one of the most important parts is by forgiving the situation, forgiving myself for for feeling that sense of disappointment. But it's okay. It's helped me grow, and I find now that it's so much easier for me to just let things go, let things be. And whenever I encounter a challenge, my go-to thought isn't one of resistance. I'm actually becoming more solution driven, thinking more about how I can work around the situation, as opposed to wanting to tackle it and battle with it, and then question the hows, what's, whys, and all the other irrelevant questions that really have no bearing on the outcome other than just frustration. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, guys. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a like. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. If you did like it, however, please hit that bell, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.